What's up, guys? It's your boy Nathaniel Messiah. So essentially, right, last week I went to a My Protein event, and at this event I was able to meet a ton of you guys, say what's up, take pictures, sign shirts, whatever. Like it was crazy, to be honest. I did a bunch of talks as well, and the main thing that most of the questions centered around was simply, how did I get here at 19? How did I get in this position so soon? And in a 30-second to 1 minute interaction, you can only do so much to try and explain how it is that things have got to the point where they are now, and oftentimes I won't be able to do it justice. So I just thought that, you know what, I haven't done something like this in a while where I just sit down and talk to you guys and explain something. So in today's video, I'm going to be explaining how I got to the position I'm in currently at 19 years old, step by step throughout the years. And I hope it'll provide you guys with some insight, some context for, you know, some of the things that are happening now and why I'm able to do certain things at a much younger age than a lot of the other people that I work with. Because almost everywhere I go, I'm the youngest person there. I'm the youngest person currently on the Gymshark roster. Most of the circles and places that I'm mixing, they're all older people. So people are always so curious as to how things have happened so soon. So that's what we're gonna get into in this video. If you guys are looking forward to this video, if you guys want to support me, let's run the likes up on this video. I wanna say, let's get a minimum of, let's try to get 3,000 likes, all right? 3,000 likes. Cool. So I'm not gonna just do this in a normal rambling talking way. What I'm gonna do is go through every single year, explain what happened, and then by the end of the year, update you in terms of strength, physique, career, and then money. Okay, because those are the main things that people are curious about. I got questions on how I gained my strength, how I built my physique, how I built my social media platforms, how I built my other business stuff, and that's basically what I want to explain to you guys and show you guys the progression of throughout the years. It is hot in here. Sorry. AC doesn't. Oh no. Should I firm it? I'll firm it anyway. So, in order to do this, we've got to take you back to 2006. Why 2006? This is because when I was 5, I was clearing out the loft with my dad, and one thing I found was his old bodybuilding magazines. This is like Flex magazine, things like that. In these magazines were guys like Dorian Yates, Kevin Levrone, Sean Ray. I can remember it vividly. Immediately after seeing those magazines, I wanted to look like those guys. The seed was sown from that young. Now, when I was younger, I was always a really sporty kid. I did a bunch of sports, my best of which were gymnastics and basketball. My best in terms of how good I was at those was like gymnastics. I remember getting 3rd place in a particular event at London Youth Games, and then in basketball, when I was younger, I was probably one of the better players in London, and then when I got older, I was like the best player on like a county team. So I was pretty good, not crazy, not England level, but like county level, I was a good player. So as I got older, I was mainly focused on basketball. Basketball became my main sport because as I moved to secondary school, I stopped doing gymnastics, and I also just didn't really like it as much. And then in 2015, my little brother was having swimming lessons at Streatham Leisure Centre. So I'm from South London, so if you guys know Streatham, he was having swimming lessons at Streatham Leisure Centre, and my mum saw that they were giving out junior gym memberships to people from as young as 11. You could go to the gym from as young as 11. I always get asked, how do you go to gym when you're really young? There happened to be a leisure centre near me that gave up memberships for young people. So I was 12 at the time. That's when I first started going to the gym a little bit. I went with my dad for the first time. We just did a few exercises, like we did a little run, we did dips, we did like some pull-ups and stuff. Not a whole load of stuff. My dad's more into like the kind of fitnessy side. He was always into the bodybuilding, but at this point he was more in the kind of fitnessy side than like straight bodybuilding. So we did a few exercises and I loved it. So I started going often, started going regularly, and this is from the age of 12. And so at this point, I should also state that growing up, I was always a muscular kid, but I varied between being a little bit more on the skinnier side and then being a little bit more on the chubby side. Like I think I'm almost a straight mesomorph, maybe slightly more to the endomorphic side. So I was kind of in between, but then, you know, if I started snacking a little bit more, you know, when you're young, I could get maybe a little bit of a belly, and then if not, you know, I'd get smaller. So I was kind of in this point. But then when I was 12, I actually got pretty lean in a fairly short space of time, like leading up to going on holiday. So that was my first experience actually in the gym when I was 12 years old. I carried this through to when I was around 13. And then when I was 14, I started taking basketball a lot more serious, and I kind of chilled in the gym stuff for a little while. So that brings us to 2017. And in 2017, I'd always been a really big fan of YouTube. From as young as about 10, I'd known about like guys like Rich Piana, people like that on the YouTube fitness space, and I was always really into YouTube in the general space, like KSI, guys like that. So this might seem really unrelated, but at the time, a really popular hairstyle with black guys was like, you had a high top, you know, like a skin fade, and then with the top, you either like twist sponged it or had it curly. I had this curly hairstyle down to an absolute science. My mop was immaculate. So guys always ask, yo, Nathaniel, how do you do your hair? Nathaniel, how do you do your hair? You know, when you're young, hair is so important because you ain't got money, you ain't got much else. It's about your hair, it's about the crepes, that's pretty much all you got. So guys are like, yo, Nathaniel, how do you do your hair? So I would show my friends how to do it. Then I thought, you know what, yeah? Let me make a YouTube video. Let me make a video about this. So I made my first YouTube video, how to get a curly high top, I can't remember what it's called. Curly hair, something curly hair related, right? And I really like YouTube, you know. My first video took me a long time to edit, took me a long time to do, but I really liked it. And then I was putting out videos, not that consistently, but maybe a couple of months, something like that. And then middle of 2017, summertime, I go on holiday, I go to Mexico. Now, on this holiday, I was actually in really good shape. For a 14-year-old, just bear this in mind, I'm 14 years old. You can see my dad there as well. My dad was in terrific shape then. He was 50 years old, in ridiculous shape, shredded, yeah, man. That probably answers where some of the genetics come from. But at that time, to get into that shape, I wasn't going to the gym. I was doing those little home workouts. You know, like the Sean T25 stuff, the Insanity stuff. I was doing that type of thing, you know, those little, you know, the dumbbells and the little circuits, that type of thing, right? So not strictly gym, but not like I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't in that shape with nothing. So yeah, really good shape on that holiday. Then I came back and I had what a lot of people can relate to in like a post-holiday slump. You get back from your holiday, you know, had a great time, then you get back and you're just depressed. So I kind of did nothing for a little while, and then my physique kind of went down a bit, and then I looked in the mirror and I was like, not feeling it. I'm not with it. I don't really like. So I'm pretty sure it was the 1st of September 2017. I said, I'm going to start the gym. And from then until now, 2022, what is it, June? Haven't stopped. So it's been almost 5 years consistently, right? So back to 2017. I start up with the gym, and at this point I was still doing YouTube a little bit. I was still doing YouTube here and there. And then one of the first few workouts I did with my friend, I asked him to film me. So we filmed the workout. My form was terrible. I got a load of hate comments, whatever. But I had a pretty decent physique for a 14-year-old at the time. So I uploaded the video to YouTube, and it did all right at the time. But to today, that was my most viewed video ever. Actually, it has over 600,000 views, and yeah, it's crazy. It's just a little workout I did when I was 14, but from all the way back then, you could tell I was really strong, because when I was 14, after not that long of training, I was doing 140 kilos for reps on deadlifts. I looked a fair bit older for my age. And so by the end of 2017, in terms of strength, I think my deadlift was, let's say, 160 kilos. My squat was maybe, let's say, I don't even know if I was squatting that consistently then, but let's call it 100. And then my bench press was, let's say, 70 kilos, 75 kilos, something like that. My physique wise, I was maybe around 65 kg, 70 kg, something like that. Channel wise, at that point, I'm pretty sure I had maybe like 1,000 and a little bit subscribers. I hit 1,000 subscribers that year in like December. And then money wise, basically nothing. I was monetized at that point because I had a couple of videos that actually did fairly well, but nothing really to speak of in that regard. It was maybe £10 a month, maybe something like that from ad revenue. And that doesn't even turn into £10 a month, because YouTube only pays out once you hit $100, which is around £60. So I wouldn't get anything from YouTube for about 4 years, but I'm 14, who cares? Anyway, moving on to 2018, I'm 15 years old now. It's still being fairly consistent with the YouTube, but I'm continuing to train, and you can really start to see the difference. Strength's going up, physique's going up, everything's going well. Obviously at this point, you know, you're kind of getting ready for GCSEs and that type of thing, but I was also still playing basketball during this period. And at the beginning of like 2018 was actually when I'd say I was playing my best basketball, because I was still training enough that I was good, but I also got so much stronger and so much more physical that this was probably some of my best basketball. I was averaging 20 points per game over that stretch, like the beginning of 2018. But then the gym started to take over the basketball, and the basketball started to slip. So towards the end of that year, I wasn't playing very well at all. YouTube wise, I did hit over 2,000 subscribers this year, and the money was still nothing to speak of. Hadn't made any meaningful gains since 2017 really, and if anything, it had gone down because I hadn't had any real successful videos around this period. But I was just doing YouTube because I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I would do like little vlogs, little stuff with my friends. You know, I was just enjoying it. I loved YouTube. I loved doing YouTube. It wasn't about the money, it was about the enjoyment factor. And then obviously towards the end of 2018 is when I turned 16. And at this point around here, I started to get a little bit more fluffy. I was kind of starting my bulk at this point. So I was starting to get a bit bigger, but if anything, I kind of looked better a little bit earlier because I was leaner. But when you're bulking, it's always like a bit of a mind trick, because you don't look as good, but it's necessary to gain the muscle. And then in terms of like strength feats that I can remember doing 160 kgs for 8 reps on deadlift at that point. I was 15. So that's like what? That's a max of about 200 right there. So deadlift, let's say my max was 200. Squat, let's say it's 120. Bench, let's say it's, I don't know, 85 kg, maybe something like that. Again, channel, maybe around 2,000 or so subscribers, 2,500. Money, nothing really to speak of again. Let's say £15 a month. 2019 now is the year that my life changed. I could have never foreseen what would happen in 2019. So, as I said, 2019, majority of the year, obviously I'm 16 years old. I'm doing GCSEs, so I take a step back with both my training, well, a little bit, and my channel. And early in this year, I had a really bad injury. I injured my intercostal muscle twice. Late in 2018, I injured it on one side. Then in February 2019, I injured it on the other side doing a set of deadlifts. I was doing touch and go deadlifts. I've never done touch and go deadlifts since this day. And yeah, injured my intercostal muscles, and it meant that I couldn't deadlift for about 7 months and doing a bunch of other exercises. And when I first injured it, it hurt to breathe. It just hurt all the time. It hurt to sleep. Like I had to change the side that I slept on because it hurt. These are the muscles that contract to help you breathe. So if you injure them, it's a long day. So yeah, no deadlifting for about 7 months. But this I think was actually good because during this time I did focus a lot more on my exams and my GCSEs, and that would actually end up helping me to blow up on YouTube. So 2019's going, you know, I do my GCSEs, I try my best in them. And obviously what had happened prior to this was I had a really good friend in school, my friend called Gordon. Alright, Gordon was really smart. Me and Gordon were both smart, right? I think Gordon was actually a little bit naturally smarter than I was, but Gordon at the time had the worst work ethic I'd ever met on a human. He did not work at all. I worked a bit harder than Gordon, quite a bit harder than Gordon, so that's why in the end I ended up doing a bit better. But at the time, Gordon was a bit smarter than me and was like, he wants to get all 9s. And because he said he wants to get all 9s, I was like, you know what? Let me try and get all 9s in my GCSEs. If you don't know what a 9 is the highest grade you can get. A 7 is an A. An 8 is like an A star, and a 9 is above that. So that's why it's good to have a healthy competition in your lives, because your friends will either push you to do better or they'll hold you back. So 2019, me and Gordon say, let's get all 9s, and I set out to the task of that. So I studied really hard for my exams, did my exams done. Every exam pretty much that I could think of went well. And then summer comes along. Now during this summer, I started banging out the YouTube. But I wasn't growing. I was stuck on getting about 1,000 views every single video. And I'd hit about 4,000 subs at this point, but the videos were not getting any better. If anything, the frequency of me getting a video above 1,000 views was decreasing. Like I was just stuck on 1,000 views, stuck there. But my physique got a lot better during this period. During 2019, like when I was studying for my exams and stuff, I got really bulky. At this point, so I was 16, yeah, I got up to about 90 kilos and I was soft, like barely any abs, soft, yeah. Then I went from 90 kg all the way down to I think about 79, 78 kg by the end of summer, and I looked really good for it. This was, you know, my best physique to date at that point. During summer, I went to Dubai with my family. Now, come back from Dubai, you know, GCSE results day. Boom. I got all 9s. I was completely lost for words at that time. So my dad was crying, etc. Like it was obviously a really surreal thing to happen at that time, because obviously I was the only person in my school to get all 9s and one of about maybe 800 people across the whole country to get all 9s. And then obviously at this time I'm still doing the YouTube, still going hard on the YouTube. So I vlog about it. I vlog when I get my results, and then later on I go on to make how I got all 9s video. This how I got all 9s video genuinely changed my life. I made this video and it was one of my first videos to kind of go semi-viral. Like, if you're a young person in the UK, most people now have seen this video because they play this video in schools. People have told me they played it in their school, they played it in their assembly. It's mad, to be honest. It's completely crazy. But what happened was, because that video got so much attention, some people are obviously going to go back and see like, oh, what kind of content has this guy got on this channel? And they see that I had a bunch of fitness content that no one was looking at, and it was actually good content. This is what I'm telling people. You've got to grind even when the spotlight isn't there, because A, that's going to prepare you for when the spotlight is actually there, and B, you can call it lucky, but luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So if you're not prepared for that opportunity, then it won't mean anything. If I had no content on my channel, I had no fitness vlogs, then it wouldn't really have made a difference. At this point, I probably had maybe at least 70-ish videos on my channel, all of which that I'd put decent amount of work into, and when people go back, they're like, oh, oh man, this guy's actually got some good vlogs. So after that, some of my other vlogs started blowing up. My Dubai vlog that I did, that maybe at the time was around 2,000 views, went on to get a bunch of views. A load of my past videos went on to get a bunch of views, because then as YouTube starts seeing that loads of people on my channel, they start recommending my content more, and my old content just really went up. And obviously at this point, this is what really got my name out there, because I'm not gonna lie, in the UK market, it's so hard to get your name out there, because you're competing with the Americans to have an inherent advantage, because America is a bigger place, so your captive audience for people American is bigger. Also, the world looks to America as like the hub of like everything social, you know, Hollywood, all that stuff. It's really hard in the UK to break through, and there's a reason why it's only really me and Joe Phaser that are really doing it on the YouTube scene in the UK. Sorry man, it's hot in this car. I don't want to turn on the AC to make it loud. But yeah, this video completely changed my life, and after that point, you know, it was starting to become regular for me to get over 100,000 views. Now, like deep in the space of about 2 months, yeah, I went from getting a consistent 1,000 views on every single video to regularly having videos over 100,000 views. It was ridiculous. And then conveniently at this point, my injury healed, so I could deadlift again. And deadlifting will become my most powerful weapon. It will become my superpower, because this is what I'd be known for, and I had no idea at the time. So because I'd been deadlifting, my deadlift went from 200 kg to 260 kg, about 8 weeks. 200 kg to about 260 kg. Made a video on this, and then I was then known as the deadlift guy. And obviously I started to bulk, my physique started getting better, and now I started making money, because I need to backtrack you to summer. So I've never actually said this publicly, but I need to give a shout out to a girl, and her name is Natalie Barnett. Okay, we don't even speak regularly anymore, but at the time, she helped me out so much, because she was doing her thing on YouTube. She was ahead of me at the time in YouTube and everything, right? And she really helped me out with a lot of things. She basically taught me how to make training plans at the time, because at the time, back in 2019 summer, none of the other fitness guys like around my age, well, firstly, there weren't really many fitness guys around my age, and secondly, they definitely weren't doing training plans. So she showed me how to make training plans, how to make them look nice, how to do all of that stuff. She sent me her so I can kind of look at it, get a gist of it, and yeah, she basically helped me out with that to the point where in summer 2017 I was able to make 2 fitness plans. I made a muscle gain one and I made a fat loss one. Now what this did for me is that it enabled me to start making money prior to when I actually started getting sponsorships. A lot of guys don't really have any income streams prior to the sponsorships, and the thing with YouTube is it's weird, because people are almost more attracted to you once you've kind of made it a little bit. You know, people kind of want you to have some level of success to almost validate them watching you. That's why partly like guys like Andrew Tate is successful, all these like really high life vlogging YouTubers. I can't do this without the AC, I'm sorry. Why all these high life YouTubers are successful, because people like looking at that lifestyle, and when you don't have that lifestyle or even a semblance of it, it's hard to do. So because I made those training plans in summer and I worked really hard to make them look nice, by October, November, when my channel had started blowing up, the orders for these just started flying in. So now I had gone from making about, you know, 20-30 pounds a month a couple of months ago to now making around 2,000 pounds per month, because of the YouTube and the training plans. Obviously the YouTube revenue went up and the training plans went up, so I was making around 2,000 pounds or so at that point. And so we get to 2019, my physique had obviously gotten tremendously better. Strength wise, deadlift 260 kg, squat, I think my best squat at that time was maybe, let's say, 210. Bench was 130 kg. Social media wise, I was now at around 30,000-ish subscribers. And money wise, I was making around 2,000 pounds per month. Now that brings us into 2020. Now, 2020, I actually, at the beginning, took a little step back, because COVID did affect me negatively, because my content was centered around the gym. Can't go to the gym. It's a bit rough. So the beginning of 2020, I was kind of just riding my way from 2019, which is actually slowly dying, because my views weren't getting the same, things just weren't hitting the same. But one thing did happen in 2020, which traces back to 2019, that I need to talk about, and that is that firstly, I got picked up by My Protein. At this point, I wasn't sponsored, I was an ambassador, because you couldn't be sponsored at that point if you're not over 18 years old. And then also, while I was at sixth form, I get a message from Gymshark. Now I flipped out, okay? I went crazy. My phone got taken away by the teachers. I didn't give a toss. I was like, bro, take my phone. Gymshark's already messaged me. I don't care. I got a message from Gymshark saying they wanted to talk and stuff like that. I had a call with a guy who would end up being my Gymshark manager at that point. Absolute legend called George. I literally had that call in my sixth form toilet. I went to the toilet during sixth form like break. and I got the first call from him in the toilet at sixth form. He then invited me up to the lifting club in January of 2020, and at the lifting club the guys seemed to like me. Then in February of 2020, Gymshark invited me to the opening party of the store that they were having in London. And at this event, I was able to meet, you know, guys like Ben Francis, Callum Watson, the kind of top dogs at Gymshark, right? And the type of person I am, I don't care who it is, I'll go up and speak to them. I don't always find it easy, but I'll do it. So I saw Ben, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go speak to him. So I got up and speak to Ben, and apparently he liked me. Bear in mind, I'm not sponsored by the Gymshark at this point. I'm just kind of doing some stuff with them. After that, they invited me down to the lifting club in March, but then lockdown hit, so we couldn't do it then. I ended up getting sponsored in May of 2020. Boom, 17 years old, I'm a Gymshark athlete. I was the youngest one at the time. I wasn't the youngest ever to be sponsored. I think Ryan Casey got sponsored at 16, but I was the youngest one on the brand at that point, and I'm still the youngest now. So continuing on with 2020, some notable things. I started speaking to my good friend Oliver Forslin. This was the genesis of our bromance. We went to Marbella together. These videos did really well for me. Probably one of my favorite videos ever, the pool party one. I love that video so much. And then towards the end of 20 is when things started to get cracked. This is when I started to get my most fake natty accusations, because I'd gone from really turbo bulked at the beginning of lockdown to by the end of lockdown, bone lean shredded. And this is really just because I went on a huge cut. I took like 3 months to go on a cut. It was lockdown, you know, you don't have much to do otherwise. I was going on walks, I was doing this, I was doing that. That's why my physique got so much better. But then once I started strength training properly again, I was both fairly shredded and really strong at the same time. So fake natty accusations were at an all-time high. And then towards the end of 2020, I go Sweden to see my friend Oliver, take some really good pictures here. That Sweden trip carried my Instagram profile for genuinely about 6 months. I took about, I don't even know how many pictures, and slowly trickled them out on my Instagram, and that carried me through the second lockdown where I couldn't really get much content. Half the pictures of my Instagram were from that one 4-day Sweden trip. 1 billion pictures carried my Instagram profile. End of 2020, obviously now I've got a couple of sponsorships under my belt. I'm sponsored by Gymshark, I'm sponsored by MyProtein because I've now turned 18. Strength wise, I hit a 300 kg deadlift. This was probably the biggest, this was peak Nathaniel in terms of impressiveness relative to age, because I was fairly shredded and did a 300 kg deadlift at 17 years old. That was absolute peak Nathaniel. But yeah, strength, 300 kg deadlift, let's say a 230 kg squat, and 140 something, like maybe 145 kg bench press. Physique wise, obviously probably up to that point my all-time best. I got pretty lean, shredded. Channel wise, I was up to I think around 70,000 subscribers, and then money wise towards the end of the year, I think I was more around the £4,000-5,000 per month mark in terms of money, because I'd picked up some other sponsorships. I would get odd sponsorships here and there, like Legend London and stuff, that would really help. And then now I started making a salary from my sponsorships. You know, I'm still getting YouTube revenue. The training plans are still probably better than ever. I had my best ever month in training plans ever during that year, November 2020, my best month ever. So yeah, £4,000 to £5,000 at that point. So I'm 18 years old, just turned 18, 17, yeah, that type of thing. Now 2020, I would say stuff did happen, but I wouldn't say my life changed in 2020. My life changed in 2019, and now in 2021, my life changed again. In sixth form, lockdown hits again. It's kind of rough on my channel. It's kind of hard to make content. I'm doing sixth form. That first 6 months of the year was a bit mid. I had some highlights, you know, the Gymshark 315 event. I deadlifted 315 kg at that event, which was pure coincidence. But yeah, there were some highlights, but my channel was fairly stagnant. But I had started to make a little bit more progress in terms of financially. I was making more around £5,000 a month, and then summer came around, I went on another cut and got the leanest I'd ever been. I went to Ibiza with Joe and these guys, and 2021 I started doing some more videos with Joe, which was good as well, because we kind of had the biggest like YouTube audiences for young guys. Put those audiences together, it was mad, you know. I pitched the idea to Joe to start doing these public videos, like asking girls in public and stuff. At first Joe didn't want to do it. Then we ended up doing it, and they end up going ridiculous. A couple of mine have like 500,000 views or so. A couple of his have like 2 million views or so. The public asking girl stuff was one of my better ideas. But yeah, get absolutely bone shredded again. Start doing a lot more things with Gymshark. Like at this point, I'm doing Black Friday adverts. They gave me a whole week in their Together campaign. It was crazy. I'm doing a lot of different things now. And then I start university. Now, university again was like the same thing as when I finished GCSEs. It blew up my channel again. 4 out of the first 6 videos I post when I get to university get over 100,000 views, and I crossed 100,000 subscribers within maybe like a week or 2 of getting to university. It was cracked. It was absolutely cracked. And then I had my best ever month from YouTube, October. I get 1 million views in that 1 month. Obviously, revenue is crazy as well in that month. And then so by the end of 2021, I think my best month, I made around over £11,000. It was crazy, okay? I was 18, turning 19. No, I just turned 19 in October. And yeah, month over £11,000. It's getting crazy. It's getting nuts. The channel's obviously blown up again. I'm doing more things with Gymshark. I'm hosting events. I'm doing different things, etc. So stats and physique wise at that point, again, by the end of the year, again, this was my best combination of like size and leanness. Strength wise, I hit a 320 kg deadlift, a 260 kg squat, and 150-ish kg bench press, something like that. Career wise at this point, you know, have over 100,000 subscribers, obviously sponsored by Gymshark, My Protein, other odd sponsorships. My channel's getting more views than ever. My training plans are still doing well. And this all leads back to me having started the training plans all the way back in 2019. Because if I never started it then, I wouldn't have had a consistent income that was not tied to having sponsors. I could go a while putting effort into YouTube without having sponsors there to back me up, so I didn't have to get like a regular job. So that was probably a big thing which allowed me to kind of get to that point, obviously by the end of 2021. And then money wise, as I said, best month over £11,000. As a 19-year-old, that puts me well over the 1%, so that's crazy. But if I'm honest, it weren't even about the money. It was more just about the fact that for now almost 5 years, I've been putting consistent work in on YouTube, and it was finally starting to pay off. Like, you know, I was starting to get stopped and stuff maybe as early as like 2019 or so because of YouTube and that. But then, like, for example, I went wireless in 2021 and took pictures the entire day. Like, stuff like that really put it into perspective for me and just how far I'd come. And all of it that you guys can see is because I started from so young, and I started consistently from so young. Throughout this whole period that I'm telling you guys about, and I can't even remember taking like a month off YouTube or anything like that, particularly not as I got to 2019. Maybe I took a month off prior to 2019 or so, but once 2019 hit, like mid 2019, it was a video almost every single week without fail. I kept doing it regardless what was happening, and that drive to get to where I wanted to be is the reason that I kind of kept going. So yeah, obviously the 2022 chapter is not finished. We're only in mid 2022, but some notable things. I done 2 powerlifting meets. The first one was like a regional one. I won it. Second one was British University Champs. I came second. I got a 730 kg total, 270 kg squat, 155 kg bench, 305 kg deadlift. My best lifts in 2020, so 320 kg deadlift, 270 kg squat, 160 kg bench press. So yeah, I've gotten a lot stronger. And then another big thing is I've made the move to now get an app. I basically didn't see that much future in my training plans because I've been doing it for so long, and it kind of stagnated towards the end of 2020. From the end of 2020 to 2021, it didn't get any bigger. It kind of, you know, revenue started to get down a little bit because training plans, you need to keep getting new sales, keep getting new customers, and they kind of have a lifespan. And I feel like that lifespan, I low-key hit it. So I made the move to go over to an app, which I really think you guys should sign up for. The people on there absolutely loving it. And yeah, so that is how I got here now. That is everything I can think of. This video is probably at least 20 something minutes, but that is, if you had to ask me to explain everything that got me to this position now at 19 years old, that's how it happened. So obviously it wasn't just me, it was you guys, it was my parents, it was family, friends that all kind of helped me to this position now. That's the story, man. So if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something about me, or if you didn't learn anything about me, I don't know what you were watching, but yeah, if you enjoyed this, make sure you leave a like, comment and subscribe. And yeah, let me know if you want me to do more sit down talking videos. The camera's about to die, I think. Oh, it's overheating. Sorry guys, I'm gonna see you guys in a bit.